play by William Shakespeare written about 1594 to 1596 and first published in an unauthorized quarto in 1597. William Shakespeare Romeo and Juliet is a play centered on the forbidden love of a foolish young couple. The play focuses on the feud of their families and show them the battling to love one another despite of their differences. Ultimately, their love settle on their family feud, but cost the lives of the character Romeo and Juliet is about the conflict between the main character's love with its transformative power and the darkness, hatred, and selfishness represented by their family's feud. The two teenage lovers, Romeo and Juliet, fall in love the first time they see each other, but their family's feud requires them to remain enemies. Over the course of the play, the lovers' powerful desire directly clash with their families' equally powerful hatred of each other. The story is indeed based on the life of two real lovers who lived and died for each other in Verona, Italy in 1303. Shakespeare is known to have discovered this tragic love story in Arthur Brooks' 1562 poem entitled The Tragical History of Romeo and Juliet. We choose Romeo and Juliet because it clearly shows that love is a prominent theme in this story, and with Shakespeare showing us the many different characters aspect of love and providing us with the message that love will inevitably conquer all. The reason why we choose Romeo and Juliet is because love is the prominent theme of this story, and with Shakespeare showing us the many different characters aspect about love and providing us with the message that love will inevitably conquer all.
So let's move on to the setting of the story Romeo and Juliet. Verona, Italy. Verona is a city in northern East Italy. In Shakespeare's lifetime, it was part of Venetian Republic, but until 1405, it had been independent city-state. The Verona of Romeo and Juliet seems to be independent, and with its own prince, who authorizes and enforces local laws. It seems likely then that the play takes place sometimes in 14th century. Curiously, audiences in Shakespeare's own time would have already associated the city of Verona with a pair of ill-fated young lovers named Romeo Mentecchi and Giulietta Cappelletti. These are the protagonists of a 1530 story by Italian writer Luigi da Porto, concerning two Veronese lovers caught either side of a family feud. In 1560s, Arthur Brooke penned a popular poem that translated the Porto story in English, and translation quickly went through several editions. Thus, by the time Shakespeare adapted the popular story for the stage, Verona would already have been well known in England as a site of tragedy. On the other hand, Shakespeare often set his comedies in Italy, and the play at first seems like it might go on in direction of camp.
In the city of Verona, Italy, there are two great families. The Montague and the Capulet families are at war and had another fight. The prince who keeps the peace in Verona says that if there are any further fights, the head of the houses will be killed. Lord Capulet planned to throw an enormous party. Predictably, he banned Montagues from attending, but a young Montague named Romeo desperately wanted to go to see Rosaline, his love, that will be there with the date, and he wanted to follow. Romeo went to the party with his two friends, Mercutio and Benvolio. After a while, Romeo saw the most beautiful girl. He completely forgot about Rosaline. But Tybalt, an enemy Capulet, spotted Romeo and waited for his moment to start a fight with Romeo. Meanwhile, Romeo danced with a beautiful girl named Juliet, a Capulet. Juliet turned out to be equally interested to Romeo. Later that night, Romeo sneaks into the Capulet orchard to see Juliet, and they declare their love for each other and decide to get married and be together. The next morning, Romeo goes to Prior Lawrence and begs to marry him to Juliet. Prior Lawrence then agreed. Romeo and Juliet get married in secret with the help of Juliet's nurse and Prior Lawrence. Another part breaks out in Verona and Tybalt kills Romeo's friend Mercutio. Romeo had tried to prevent the fight, but after Mercutio's death, he kills Tybalt. Romeo vanishes from the Verona because of what he has done. Juliet is distraught by the news of Tybalt's death and Romeo being banished. Lord Capulet tells Juliet she must marry a man called Paris, and not knowing she is already married. Juliet runs to ask Prior Lawrence for advice. He tells her that she will pretend to consent and then in the meantime, he will create a potion. Prior Lawrence gives Juliet a potion that will make her appear dead for 2 days so she does not have to marry again, and her body will take to church and he and Romeo will rescue her. He sends Romeo a note to explain the plan and Juliet takes the potion. Later that morning, Juliet Meets comes in to wake her up but she won't wake up. Her body is moved to the family tomb. Romeo does not receive the note about the potion from Prior Lawrence because the messengers got delayed. Romeo's servant has heard of Juliet's death and Romeo really thinks that his wife is gone and says that he will lay by Juliet's side that night. He buys some potion and goes to the tomb where Juliet's family laid her to rest, but he runs into Paris, who was Juliet's grooms-to-be. Paris tells Romeo that he faces a death sentence and wanted to arrest him. Paris gets angry and attacks Romeo, but Paris loses the fight and then dies. Juliet is slowly approaching the point that she will wake up. Just before she can, Romeo takes the poison and falls dead. Juliet wakes up and saw Romeo and Paris, lifeless corpses, and the empty poisoned vial and knew exactly what happened. She then took Romeo's dagger and thrust it into her chest. Prior Lawrence eventually explained the situation to the two families. They are both stricken with grief and realize how Romeo and Juliet love each other. The misery finally ended the feud they had been fighting for so long.
My name is Janaren Theophil, and let me tell you the moral lesson of Romeo and Juliet. Romeo and Juliet teach us that love is blind. If you love someone, make sure to fight for your loved ones in any circumstances. Even your family disagree because of the lifestyle that your partner have, fight for it because the fight for love is a worth it one. Romeo and Juliet also teach us that love brings out the best in two people. When you love someone, you make things that impossible to think. You make ways to reach each other, you make efforts for your partner, and you face everything together. It also teaches life without love is a worthless one. For me, it's true because if you don't have love in your heart, what is the meaning of your existence? And it also teaches me that not all love stories have an happy ending. For example, this novel, it's so tragic and sad. The ending is so surprising.